The Minnesota Wild traded Eric Staal to the Buffalo Sabres for Marcus Johansson. But why? That's my poor Ryan Reynolds meme impression. This is a weird trade. It took me a while to go make any sense of it, really, whatsoever. It's still churning in my head. And my first reaction was, huh? Now, I think Buffalo wins this trade, first off. But it's still bizarre. I mean, they apparently needed more character, experience, players to speak out in that locker room. In Buffalo, so I could see how that makes sense. I mean, both players are going to be UFAs at the end of next season. Eric Stahl's making $3.5 million. Marcus Johansson's making $4.5. One's mostly a winger. One's a center in Staal. Staal might not be as fast on his feet as Johansson, but he's got more experience all around, especially in the playoffs, and he puts up more points, even at being like 6 years older. Staal is 35. He'll be 36 in October. But in his last year with Minnesota, he had 19 goals and 47 points in 66 games. -9. Had 5 points in 4 games in the playoffs. 1 goal. So this seems like a win for Buffalo, and if they're still driving that 18-wheeler off the cliff come December/trade deadline, then they can flip him. And I would assume they could get better assets if they were to trade him to a contender, let's say, than they would Marcus Johansson. Because of all the reasons I stated, and especially making $1 million less against the cap hit. So I don't get this from Minnesota. And, I mean, Marcus Johansson's an okay winger, but we're looking at his stats here in 60 games. He had 9 goals, 30 points, -12. I mean, he played pretty decent for Buffalo when he was traded there from the Devils last season in the playoffs in 22 games, where he had 4 goals, 11 points. That was decent, right? But, I mean, by far his best season was back in 2016-17 with the Washington Capitals, where he had, in 82 games, he had 24 goals, 58 points, plus 25. By the way, he hasn't been a plus player since. So, the only thing I can think of is Fenton saying, well, sorry, Eric, we're rebuilding, and that's it, that's all. And then Staal saying, please trade me. But, I mean, Minnesota has a big hole on the center end of things right now. I mean, Marcus Johansson could moonlight in this, in the center spot, but I wouldn't put him there for even half a season. And if they want to trade him too, just like Buffalo might to flip him if it looks like they're not going to get into the playoffs, it's harder to do that because A, he's a winger, and B, he makes more money. What are you doing? Let's look at Minnesota's centers right now. I mean, okay, so Eriksson Ek, he's a second/third line center, right? Contender, he's a third line center, really. Nico Sturm, the up-and-comer, he's 25, not so young anymore, but he's another centerman, again, more like a third/second liner, third line center. And then there's Victor Rask. I don't know what's happening there at all. I would assume that they start flipping more guys if they can for draft picks, and just go the way of Detroit, for the following 2-3 seasons. I think even some of their fans, me being one of them, has wished they would have done that years ago, instead of being a team that you knew wasn't going to go far in the playoffs if they did make the playoffs, or they would just miss. It's kind of frustrating, isn't it? Just, like water torture, just doing the same thing over and over and over again with no results. So, yeah, I would love to hear from you, Minnesota and Buffalo Sabre fans, in the comment section below about this trade, what you think of it, and why. And then there's the Joel Edmundson signing in Montreal. The Canadiens signed him to a 4-year deal for $14 million. very nice. Now he's more of a stay-at-home defensive defenseman, block shots, that kind of thing. Big body, big boy. I mean, he's 27 years old. Just had a birthday in June. 6'4", 215 pounds. Played for the champion Blues when they won the Cup, of course. Then was traded to Carolina, and for I believe it was Falk. And this season with the Hurricanes in 68 games, 7 goals, 20 points, +7 in the playoffs in 4 games. He had 1 goal and was a +4. That's kind of what you expect of him to do, and he can even play the right side at times if necessary. Take guys out from in front of the net, stand up for other players, that kind of thing. I think this is a terrific signing for Montreal at a really good price, a very fair price. If you look at their lineup now, on the left side, they've got Edmundson, Sherratt, and then there's Romanov, who we all expect to start on the bottom pairing at least when the season begins. And then on the right, they have Weber, Petrie, and Mete, for the time being anyway. So, I mean, now, first and foremost, I'm a Toronto Maple Leaf fan. I'm originally from there. I envy this defense when I look at it. This would be great for the playoffs. Now they just need to do something about that offense. So yeah, there you have it. Montreal fans, I'd also like to hear from you down in the comment section down below. By the way, I'm sorry I've been away for a little while. I work in the film and TV industry as a gig worker day by day, and it's been getting a little bit busier, so there's that. Thank you again so much for watching. Please be kind to each other out there, and I'll see you soon.